The law is that what you focus on with great intensity happens. In the case of the card, it's talking about fear, so we can use that to say that in our world we can see people who are afraid their rights are going to be taken, they're afraid that they're going to be subjugated, they're afraid of different things. It is encouraging them to act on it, but the law behind it remains the same. If we decide to be free with the level of intensity that we are afraid, the law would still work on our behalf in the same way.
This makes so much sense, and
Yes.
I think is a very powerful understanding. Looking at the addition in the book, it says, the more intense the fear, the faster you experience the subject of your fear.
Yes.
And then, of course, if we're flipping the polarity, the more intense your joy, the faster you experience the subject of your joy. You know,
Yes.
it's like you say, the law is the thing that's working underneath everything, and realizing then where are we in relation to the law.
And the most important thing is not that everyone do it, is that enough do it.
Yeah.
We don't need to be able to fight all the tanks and all the armies and all the alien tech. We just need to have enough of us who don't want what this is. This is not impossible. Humanity is within the range of being able to shift this. Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am Lota of the Sun, and this is Tavares of the Sun. We welcome you to our conversation today. But before we begin, Tavares, will you bring us into the Call for Truth?
Most certainly, and we encourage you all to join us in the Call for the Truth. Shall we call forth the frequency of truth? Shall we call to see the truth in all that we see? Shall we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Shall we call to speak the truth, calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Shall we call forth nothing less than the truth to come forward into our experience? And we are hearing the truth, and hit that like, subscribe, that bell notification to continue to stay within these high vibratory conversations of truth. And so, speaking of truth,
Yes.
we did a Call for the Truth divination card pull, and today we're talking about fear and the maxim surrounding the idea of what you fear, you draw near. So just my thoughts alone, or our thoughts, we're pulling in realities. And if we could explore this from, collective imagination, the collective subconscious, and, we usually go all the different levels, micro, macro, everything in between, uncharted paths. So where would you like to begin with this?
Do we have additional information about this card?
Yes, actually. Well, one, it is red for the root chakra, and so this is the energy center that the modality or the maxim is expressing itself through. And so the book has an additional information. The more intense the fear, the faster you experience the subject of your fear.
I think this is relevant. Yes. And those little fears move a little slower than those bigger fears.
Yeah.
And those fears that gather together become a congregation of fear. So the mass consciousness of, for instance, say, America, or our world, or the West, that is constantly being moved towards war and towards catastrophic events and towards stories of great catastrophe, would bring about fear, and that's where we find ourselves. We find ourselves right smack dab in the middle of a whole world that's worried, not just here in America, but all of the West, and not just the West, but other places as well. And we're all being herded into the fear lot, and the intensity is increasing. With the recent Epstein files and imminent government shutdowns and wars everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I think we at war with everybody.
Anybody who don't got an army, it's like, let's go after them.
And the few who have an army.
Well, yeah, which sounds crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, so all of this is really bringing fear to the forefront. And it's so interesting, the word fear has the word ear in it.
Yeah.
So we hear of wars in foreign places. We hear that we should be afraid. We hear that we should be saving food, and that we should be living off the grid, and that we should be being afraid of what's going to happen with our banking. And all of these things are stirring the pot of fear. What does that mean? Depending on varying levels. So the more fearful you are, the more likely you are to see evidence that supports this idea of war and civil war and all of those things. War within your family, war within the marriage, war with the children. It's multi-dimensional.
Yeah. As I hear you say this, the visual that comes to mind is seeing how integral human consciousness is in this, where those type of realities, it's very hard or almost impossible for it to exist without us giving the attention and broadcasting the fear.
Yes.
Seems like we're very important components.
It's very true. It's so funny because people think there's no such thing as critical mass. But this is a perfect example, just as COVID was, of critical mass, that we can see that if enough people get upset, they flow into the streets with signs and protests and waving things and driving trucks and tractors, and that is a component of the idea of things coming together because other people in other places are doing it, and then all over the world people are doing it. So many people think that's a conspiracy theory when we can see it taking place. If you can get international news, you can really see it. You can see it in Canada, and you can see it in Italy, and you can see it in Spain, and you can see it in France. You can see it in Africa, and you can see it in some cities in America. And it's happening spontaneously because enough people are joining in. This is great news. There could not be a better plan for development of humanity than that. Once we all, once we all reach a certain pitch of our intensity, everyone catches it. That means we can be victorious. If those of us who want a different experience can intensely want it enough. It's a victory story.
Yeah.
It's not a sad story. Although we have seen it in the reverse in COVID. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. It's also flipping the polarity on what we're given power to.
Yes.
When I'm looking at it, the experience of a soul realizing this is the reality I'm choosing to create, this is the reality I'm choosing to focus on, and pulling back, like recognizing like the outside doesn't have as much power as I thought, and it looks like my actions, my thoughts, me making the shift in my reality does stand for something.
Yes.
And it does create waves in the field.
Yes.
Like I have more value than what I've been led to believe. And so it gives that energy when I was tuning in, and as I said, flip the perspective of who you are, and I can see where that's necessary with the fear. This idea of like, okay, what you fear you draw near, let me flip the polarity, because apparently I'm magnetizing and pulling it in. So here we are, finding ourselves in a space of fear everywhere. When you were mentioning about how we can see the critical mass happen, it made me think about how I'm seeing in many different countries people going against what seem to be the authorities, and they turning up in Europe, shutting down, and everybody's on the same page. And but then here in the States, when we talk about doing it, it's like, we'll stop just for the weekend, just for Saturday between the hours of You know, as long as it's not interrupting brunch and they can go back to complacency in the system. So what are your thoughts on this? Because I feel like the fear is still permeating in such a way where people are still drawing to them unwanted circumstances.
The law works and the law remains the same no matter what people choose to do with it. The law is that whatever you are intensely involved with, in the card it says fear, but whatever it is, if it were freedom, it would mean the same thing. The law is that what you focus on with great intensity happens. In the case of the card, it's talking about fear, so we can use that to say that in our world we can see people who are afraid their rights are going to be taken, they're afraid that they're going to be subjugated, they're afraid of different things. It is encouraging them to act on it, but the law behind it remains the same. If we decide to be free with the level of intensity that we are afraid, the law would still work on our behalf in the same way.
This makes so much sense, and
Yes.
I think is a very powerful understanding. Looking at the addition in the book, it says, the more intense the fear, the faster you experience the subject of your fear.
Yes.
And then, of course, if we're flipping the polarity, the more intense your joy, the faster you experience the subject of your joy. You know,
Yes.
it's like you say, the law is the thing that's working underneath everything, and realizing then where are we in relation to the law.
And the most important thing is not that everyone do it, is that enough do it.
Yeah.
We don't need to be able to fight all the tanks and all the armies and all the alien tech. We just need to have enough of us who don't want what this is. This is not impossible. Humanity is within the range of being able to shift this. Enough people on the planet, even if they're not in your state or your city, enough people on the planet would like to have a different experience. The idea would be to not focus on government, but to focus on not government. You know, our focus is a little off.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on suppression, we should be focusing on freedom, so it can quickly come forward.
Yeah, so as you were speaking, I was saying it looks like we're in one big psyop in terms of the way the mind works, because it's like they keep looking over here, keep looking at, come on, give us your attention to stop and distract us from using the creative energy to, let me not even just, and it doesn't mean we're completely ignoring or unaware, but this reality of, look, I know what's happening, I'm focusing over here, I'm building over here, and it feels like such a power move, and but again, a great psyop at the same time.
Yeah. Disobey whatever they're trying to make you do, don't do it. Whatever they're trying to make you eat, don't eat it. Whatever they're trying to make you think, don't think it. Whatever they're trying to make you love, don't love it. Don't do it. You know, like, do the opposite and you will win. And the way we know that is, in recent times, it has been clear that people are paying rent-a-riots. They're renting riots to show that people don't want, the people who are controlling things are renting people. They're going to Hollywood and getting extras and paying for actors to hold signs and protest.
And that call it central casting.
Central casting, and they have done this time after time after time in recent years. That lets us know that it's not about the protests, and and those people are not committed. Those people are paid actors. They don't have any energy in the field. It's more about the psyop for the rest of everyone to see.
Yeah.
You know,
they're building a perception.
And they're building
reality.
a perception that people are going against this thing. Either they're saying join on, or look, it's being done already. You don't have to. And for their part, it doesn't really matter, because they're controlling the narrative. And because people are sitting home and doing nothing, there's no narrative to the opposite. So as long as they're telling the story is being told their way. So even if we sat home and decided to all think about freedom intensely for 3 hours a day, for days on end, that would be enough. The power of thought would be able to trump the controlling, central casting situation of riots in the street. Even if it's not to say that the things that are being recommended, like, oh, just stop doing everything for 3 days, that might work, and it looks like it could be useful, but Americans are unwilling to stop shopping for 3 days. Yeah. So we're unwilling to not go to the movies. And
make a dent.
Yes, but what we could do is think a different thought, all of us, or as many of us who are already oriented in that way. Every single soul on the planet doesn't have to think it, just the ones who want it. That would be enough to create critical mass, and that could change and shift the dynamic. I don't know what that looks like, but the law explains that. That it's not saying go out and march. It's saying the more fearful you are, the faster things will happen. So the more free you become, the faster you'll be free. That's my point.
Yeah.
And so it's all the solutions that I hear broadcast require people to do things they don't want to do. They have to stop drinking. They have to stop getting high. They have to get out of their house. They have to stop doing their routine. They have to. That's the wrong solution. When the idea of critical mass comes in, it's really a shift in thought that lets the thought carry beyond boundaries to other countries, other land masses, other people. It is not untrue that what we think on Earth is communicated and transmitted to the galaxy, to other planets and other beings and other life forms. Why wouldn't it work on this planet? So the law remains the law. If we could be cultivated to know that we could make a difference, then the law would work. Where we are stumped is that we are our own limiting substance by thinking that we don't matter, we can't do anything, we don't count, there's too few of us, there has to be more to make it work. And I have recently learned in recent years, doesn't mean you don't need a lot. You just need a few who are focused. A few on the planet who are focused could change this. This is law. So it's exciting.
I'm over here processing.
So what does the future of money look like to you, Alex?
The future of money won't be about what we use. It'll be about who we trust. We're heading into a world where money is no longer paper. It's data. Central bank, digital currencies, programmable payments, and surveillance systems will redefine how value moves. But here's the twist. The more digital it gets, the more people will crave something real. That's why gold and silver aren't disappearing. They're becoming the anchor in a world of floating code. Money will evolve technologically, but it will always revolve around trust. And digital systems can't replicate 5,000 years of human belief in tangible value. The future of money? Digital convenience built on physical truth. The code will change, but the collateral won't. Because in every era, old or new, gold stays the final receipt.
Seeing how this requires being open to looking at a different story, looking at a different narrative, looking at the reality through a different frequency, and changing the lens.
And it really won't require anybody to do what they don't want to do. Doing bad things requires effort. You got to buy an island. You got to get a yacht. You got to have everybody wear white. You got to have emails. You need an assistant. It's labor intensive. Doing right is not like that.
No infrastructure needed to support it. It stands on its own. Yeah, that's cool. And so again, this very solid because it took us through Laws and principles, how they're underneath everything, and I think really gives the opportunity to assess where are we in our evolutionary process as it relates to working with the laws. Am I too focused on what I don't want? Or am I taking back my attention and my power, which clearly seems to be the currency now, attention, right?
Yes, that is definitely the currency, is your attention.
Yeah. And so are we using our attention and placing it on the desired outcomes? And I think that's something that is worth assessing for anyone who's tuning in.
I agree. I also see that even though this was a talk about fear, that really what's being said is, what is the opposite of that? Focus on that.
Yeah.
Focus on the thing that's the opposite of that, and then you'll never see the fear. Focus on what is the opposite of it. And the only reason I think humanity, well, there are many reasons, humanity doesn't focus on it, is that the gravitational pull of the way that we have been cultivated is to make us think we are nothing and our thought doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, you put all those thoughts in the bucket and then the bucket has power. That's the reality. Just think the thought of freedom. Think the thought of freedom. Think the thought of freedom. And what does it feel like? Do you feel like, ooh, let me take off this jacket? Let me stretch. Does it feel like, I don't need to be afraid of what I eat, what I think, what I do, what I breathe? And let that lead the way to elevation and the experience that we all want to have, which is one where we're not fearful, where what we hear doesn't terrify us. Oh, I hear that in far-off lands there's going to be war. I hear that, there are oil rigs everywhere. I hear, all these things.
I feel like that's a good callback to earlier.
Yeah.
Inside of the word fear is ear, what you hear. Yeah.
Yes, it's very much the case, and we can change our understanding and flip it to see this is an opportunity, that what we hear, oh, there's an opportunity to be free. Oh, there's a new opportunity to get together with others of like-minded. We don't even have to get together. Let me just think the thought, and the thought itself will move through the frequencies of the planet and find the souls who resonate with it. Let those souls think the thought too. Let us put out a message. Let us transmit, we are ready for freedom, and see what that gathers around it, without us having to do the things that are being recommended. The things that are being recommended, there's nothing wrong with them, but this is easier. You can just be the thought of freedom. Maybe spend 15 minutes a day. What would you do if you were completely free? What would you do, Tavares, if you were completely free?
Yeah, I'd be teaching classes all day.
Doing what you already do.
Doing what I already do, but expand it though.
Yes.
Much more, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really that idea, if we could see what would we do, how would we feel, what would we look like if we were free and had been free for 20 years before? What would our bodies look like? Would our bodies, which are designed to keep us from being sick, be able to heal us at deeper levels if we weren't suppressed into a fear-based society?
Yeah.
If we were free of that, would we live longer, be more beautiful, have better experiences, have better relationships? Those are all things that we all want. All of humanity wants something in that ballpark. And it's available if we allow ourselves. We are the ones who keep us from having this. It is our own agreement to be suppressed, to be enslaved, to be limited, that limits us. And our unwillingness to stretch beyond it. Yes, there are forces who take advantage of that. And we're the perpetrator. And that means we can be the hero.
Yeah.
which is good
It
news.
works both ways.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it is a very good thing to know, to step away from realizing there's always a choice. We always have that opportunity.
Yes, and it's really the willingness to be free, the willingness to break the chains of the generational enslavement, the mental, physical, and emotional, energetic enslavement, to take on the responsibility that freedom brings. It may mean life will look different. It for sure will mean life will look different.
Because life looks different when you're enslaved versus free. From any optic. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you have any final thoughts?
No, just grateful for it, and it definitely goes hand in hand with our previous podcast,
Yes.
the live stream.
So we thank you for joining us. We hope that you will join us again. We give you in Lakesh and Veritas with honor, respect, gratitude, integrity, discipline, and action. Thank you.